one thing I wanted to flag you, and I wanted to get your reaction to this, is there's a quote that I wanted to pull. There was a question asked of like scannability and why this is important. So about a decade ago, Jacob Nielsen answered the question, how people read on the web. And the answer was simply, they don't. People rarely read web pages word by word. Instead, they scan the page, picking out individual words and sentences. Since then, it hasn't changed much. We aren't like ready to invest our time and effort into exploring the website if it doesn't correspond to our needs. So I wanted to also get your thoughts. During my career, like I've always felt like UX writing was kind of like important, but I didn't really value it that much. But I think the art of writing a good headline and subtitles is so important, but typically missed from designers. I'm just curious, like, do you have any experience with that? Is there anything you've learned from good UX writers you've worked with?
Yeah, well, I mean, just writers. I remember way before I was working in big tech, I worked in what they call the third sector, which is basically the charity NGO sector. This was like the major thing which I worked on early on in my career.
Yeah.
And so I had this idea that I was, would only ever work for social organizations, never big corporates. That was all evil. I changed very quickly when I realized how much we get paid. But I was lucky enough to work with two amazing writers. Like, they were writers from the same way that I was always into art, they were always into writing. One actually was a published poet as well. And we used to do like this training courses for young kids, teaching them how to write. So we had this template where we would work with, I don't know what the correct term is now, but it was used to be known as disadvantaged background folks. So kids, homeless people suffering from mental health difficulties. And so what the formula that we had is we would create a magazine that would highlight stories that affect these things. And be like interviews, news, tips, and all this stuff, like made like lifestyle magazines or design, whatever magazines. And in the process of creating the magazine, we would teach the kids about journalism, about design, about writing, about the key things. And so it was almost like an apprenticeship. They had an applied thing at the end of it, and a physical magazine that they could take to maybe a university if they wanted to go and do this as a career, or maybe even a job, like a starting foot. So it was like a really great formula that we had. And so on the writing courses, like the first thing that which surprised me is that one of the writers said is like, the best writers are usually tabloid newspapers. Like if you look at the way tabloid newspapers write, the first paragraph will say the entire story in 100 words, and that is such a phenomenal skill. Like this is something you have to develop, and it's very
like
hard.
crafting a good tweet.
Yeah, exactly.